Once it reaches the boiling point, you turn it down, the pasta will continue to cook nice and easy without making a big mess. No rush, no fuss. I could probably stand to turn it up just a notch, so I'll do that. And honestly, this is the point at which I can add the honey. Got some of my fingers there. I don't like touching things with honey in my fingers. I'm just going to add a little bit. You can see how much I add. It's just a smidgen. And that about does it. I'm not sure how much that is. Maybe half a tablespoon? Maybe a teaspoon? And I can add the Cholula. I've already shaken it. Shaken and stirred. If I can get it open. Set that to the side, and just a few drops, just for the flavor, not for the hot. I really don't want it hot, but it does add a kick to it. I'm not fond of hot, spicy foods. And I will add, matter of fact, I'm going to add that later because the dry leaves tend to stick to the sides of the pot. I don't want to do that now. And I can actually add the ginger powder and the marjoram to the empty jar once I pour the sauce into the pot. And that way I can shake up the leaves and the powder into the water without making a big mess around the sides of the pot. What's going to happen, since I added the salt to the water before cooking the pasta, adding the honey to this mixture will actually help cook it into the pasta, even if just a slight bit. And that's always helpful, to have the flavor in the pasta. There's no bland issues going on. Set that down. And the meat is done. Just going to let that sit there. What I've done is separated the water from the pasta. Just poured it in there. Pasta is now on the cold eye. It doesn't continue cooking and burn anything. There is still some water in there just to keep it steaming. And what you do, get that open. Ah, the one-handed game. See what I can do. Contrary to popular belief, that was not my teeth. Now this is marinara, which is a bit disappointing. When I went to the store to buy the Newman's Own Saccaroni, they didn't have it. They ran completely out and they were fully stocked with marinara, which means that someone's not doing their job. If you can run out of a product and have a full load of an alternative product, that means that people are buying less of the alternative and more of the one you should be ordering. And someone needs to do your job. I don't want to have to complain about it. I don't want to. Okay, now this particular bowl, as you saw, is soft. This is a silicone bowl. I use it for a lot of things. You don't want to let liquid sit in it though, because it does tend to hold on to odors. So what I'm going to do is simply pour half of this liquid into the jar. Set that aside. I'm going to add the marjoram now to this particular jar. Just a little bit. And I don't run out of space. And I can get this open. Okay. It's only $1.70 for this ground ginger. Whether or not it's pure ginger, I don't know. But it is awful dry and cakey. And that's usually about enough. I got this idea from Sarah, who got it from someone else. And it works out pretty well in a tomato-based soup or sauce. Matter of fact, I think we both enjoyed it in the tomato basil soup at Cosmic Cafe. It's a very nice soup. So I simply put the lid back on here. Now this is where it gets tricky because the lid has to be tight because I'm going to shake this around. Kind of want to do it someplace safe in case that explodes. You see how the top is bulging now? Shake around that hot liquid. It tends to create the steam, of course. So it's better to stir. I like to spin it like that and you get less steam. Because in case that explodes, you want to be over somewhere safe. Don't shake it like you're shaking a mixed drink. You'll be sorry. This is very hot now, and you heard that. That was all the pressure. So I simply just add that to that. Okay. Put that into the sink. Having this cable now attached to the phone is a bit daunting. So I'm going to repeat that process with the next jar of sauce, and I'll be back in a sec. Turned it off early enough. I've placed all of the sauce into the pan, and I can add my spinach now. I'm just going to add that straight out of the bag. I don't want to touch the spinach that's in the bag because I'll get my oils and any bacteria from my hands onto the spinach that's going to stay in the bag, and that'll help it spoil much faster, and we don't want to do that. So that should be about enough. Just going to put it aside, check what I've added, and that's pleasant. I wonder how he got in there. You're not going to believe this, and you can't see it, can you? I have to take a picture of it. There's a big, related aphid bug there. And of course this animal is a vegetarian. He's safe, he's fine, you can't really see him, but he was in my bag of spinach. I'm not disturbed by it, but the idea is that I poured that straight into my food. Well, all things being equal, it's being cooked. So I'm not really worried about anything coming off of that animal. I will actually trust his cleanliness before I trust most people's. Well, some things are just like that. After placing the pot back on the hot eye, I'm now going to add the meat. This is not a grass-fed Angus. This is a typical USDA Angus beef. I'd rather have it than the regular chuck. So I'm just gonna slowly and carefully shake that down in there because I don't want it going everywhere, bouncing off of the leaves. Okay. There's actually a lot in there. I don't want to leave that in the pan, but I can't get it all out, and you can see me shaking. So I'll scoop that out with something in a bit. For now, what I want to do is cover this because the spinach will not cook without that being covered. I may come back and add more water to that, and I may not. I'm just going to turn it to low-medium heat, and let that simmer for about 20 minutes or so. I'll come back at that point. I'm going to